Well, it's 7 o'clock, and welcome to the April meeting of the Board of Education for the Lake Mills Area School District. The mission statement of the district is to prepare all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. Ask for a verification of the meeting notice, please.
It was posted on the LMASD website and at the Lake Mills Post Office and submitted to the Lake Mills Leader.
Perfect. If we could, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could have a roll call of the members, please.
Brianna Beslick.
Here.
Don Delaney.
Here.
Ken Eimers.
Here.
Amy Litcher.
Here.
Robert D'Imperio.
Here. All members are present. Ask for approval of the agenda.
I move the board approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. On a voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have board reports.
All right, I'm going to take the opportunity to go over to the other mic for this. I wanted to make sure I wrote down my thoughts so I wouldn't get too choked up or forget what I really wanted to say. So, Bob and Dawn, tonight is your last regular board meeting. Bob, you faithfully served the district and community in this role for the past 18 years. Dawn, you made a commitment to serve for the past 9 years. I don't think people realize the magnitude of this service, as it takes an incredible amount of personal time to do what you've done. The district has seen our facilities come full circle under your leadership. Think of the number of kids you have impacted during this time. Bob, during your early tenure on the board, you worked closely with Dean Sanders on the idea of a new auditorium shortly after the referendum was passed to allow remodeling to occur on the old high school auditorium and kitchen. That strong vision allowed the district to seat approximately 400 people versus the current 210 people that our auditorium held. Sitting in that auditorium this weekend for the school play was possible because of you. That led to new tennis courts and work on the soccer and practice fields. The middle school remodeling was to follow shortly after, and then led into the new elementary school, which opened the fall of 2014. Dawn, you had been on the board for a little over a year at that time. Lake Mills Elementary became the crowning jewel across the state due to both of your commitment to the kids in this community. But your work was not done yet. The high school referendum was passed in 2018, which added rooms for career and technical education along with a new LMC. And not to be outdone, the new turf football and soccer field continues to be the envy of our neighbors. As you were dedicating these new spaces, COVID hit and proved to be the toughest 2 years to be a board member that any of us can remember. However, the steady leadership of the two of you carried the district through some very tough times. The two of you had different opinions on how the district should navigate COVID, but the thing I admired most about both of you is the fact that you were always able to debate these differences respectfully and calmly, and even when all eyes were upon you. Once a board decision was made, all 5 members backed that decision with unwavering conviction. I took a walk over to the track after school today. I watched the students at track practice and the soccer girls getting ready for their game. We had so many teachers out there coaching. As I watched all of that, I thought about how the district is in a great place because of the two of you. Bob and Dawn, you are both true leaders. I can't thank you enough for hiring and supporting me in my first 2 years in Lake Mills. Your wisdom, kindness, and generosity will be greatly missed. And with that, we have a couple of presents for you. The vases in front of you are from the Pottery Shop in Cambridge, filled with flowers. We also have some plaques that will be coming shortly, and then we have gifts for you.
Okay, next we have Ms. Williams.
Hi, I'm Sydney Williams. I'm the senior class president at Lake Mills High School, and I'm here to give you some updates on the high school. This past weekend, the high school had their play, and it was Poe Dreams of Madness. They had shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and did an amazing job with all of them. Next is forensics. The forensics team capped off the season with their state meet this past weekend. Lucas Kleinfeld, Caitlin Twesme, and Kyle Popowski all walked away with gold medals. Maddie Parrish and Kirsten Gonzalez left with silver medals, and Zach Twesme, Romney Mann, Josie Parrish, and Hallie Angsleder took home bronze medals. And now for sports updates. Baseball, they are currently 2-1. This past weekend, they had a few games in Boston and went 1-1. Their first conference game is tomorrow against Luther Prep at home. Softball, they are off to a great start this year with a young team, and they are still undefeated. They had a game tonight, and I just added the score not that long ago, and they beat Marshall 7-0, and they have a game on Thursday against Waterloo at 5. For the boys track team, it's early in the season for them, and they're excited to compete more and see how they improve throughout the season with only having indoor meets so far. The girls are off to a great start as well to their season. They have been doing great regardless of the fact that they don't have as many girls as they used to, and lots of them have first and second places in indoor conference so far. And they have meets on Tuesday being at Sugar River and Thursday at Cambridge. Girls soccer, they are currently 2-0-1. Their last game, Casey Everson scored a goal in the last 30 seconds to win the game against Fort. They have a game tonight against Janesville Parker at 6:45 going on right now, and a game against Lakeside at home on Tuesday. And Saturday they have a quad at home. Lastly is the golf team. This week is the start of the boys' golf season. JV has a meet on Tuesday at Lake Mills Golf Course, and varsity has their first meet on Wednesday at Lake Ripley. Thank you.
Thank you. Now into the administrative reports, Dr. Olson.
All right, I am excited to introduce our music department, who is going to do a presentation about their out-of-state trip to Nashville over spring break. So they're going to highlight some of their experiences. So if you want to come up to the podium and introduce yourselves. I've got some great pictures to go along with this.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us. We're actually going to represent TriM because we are there for all musics, and it's a newer chapter. This is the 5th year. Last year we did not do very much because of COVID, but we've been expanding and doing a lot of things, and so we are representing all musics. And I wanted to again thank you for having us, and also thank you for supporting music in the Lake Mills School District. We truly understand that your support is needed for our success, and we have felt that support even through these last 2 years where it's been very tough, especially on the music programs due to COVID, and it'll take a little while to get back to where we were before COVID started, but we are well on our way. And I'm the TriM Music Honor Society advisor, and we have 3 representatives here, because Sydney's here too. And like Lake Mills, everybody does everything, and so we have many, many students who are able to, again, it's a support from the top down, able to do music, athletics, play, forensics, and are high achieving in the academics. And so this is a great representation of some of our students.
Hello, my name is Kyle Popowski. I'm the Vice President of the TriMusic Honor Society, and the 3 goals that we like to abide by and promote in our community is the advocacy and promotion of benefits of music for every student, connecting to our schools and community through music, and spotlighting music student work and accomplishments. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we like to talk about is why we as individuals are big followers of music. For me as a person, I would say that I've always been a very musical person, and throughout my life I've always done all sorts of music, be it percussion, vocals, piano, and so I would have to say that a life and a world without music for me would be complete or incomplete.
Hi, I'm Allie Mitchell. I'm the secretary of TriM. For me, music is something that's just something I've always done. To brag a little bit, I'm one of 3 seniors who have been in all 3 music programs for 4 years of high school. And those classes are where I've bonded with the most people, and I could say all of my closest friends are in those classes, and I've met them because of those classes. So without the music programs, I don't think I would be where I am today.
Music for me is just one of those outlets that I have where when I'm having a hard day or something, I just need something to focus on and know I'm going to enjoy doing what I'm doing, and music is one of those for me. And kind of like what Allie said is getting to meet people that just love something just as much as you do, regardless of, unlike Allie, I've met a lot of new, different people through music that I wouldn't have met otherwise. So I think music's a great way to bond with people that you all love the same thing.
So these are just some of our members. This is a picture from our TriM music induction ceremony. And we love to introduce a lot of new people. We're an inclusive music group, all 3 of the musics at our school, orchestra, band, and choir. And so we have a wide diversity and musical spread in our group. Some of our members of our officers are not here today, like I said before, they're very busy. So our president, Chloe Thompson, is currently playing a soccer game, and our media specialist, Olivia Carlin, is also playing at that soccer game. And then another one of our officers is Angie Dressel and Katie Twesme. So they wish they could be here, but they had other things going on right now. Next slide, please. So last year, and I guess half the year before that, we all know was pretty tough because of COVID. And so that affected the music programs pretty greatly. Going into the band season, we had a tough time playing musical instruments that required a lot of breath while wearing masks is not the easiest thing. And I can say the same for choir as well. Having to wear masks, it was really difficult to having to sing with those masks on. It was difficult not being able to stand next to other people while they were singing, because it's really a valuable thing to have another person in your ear singing so you can help find the pitch and whatnot. So this is just an image from that band year and how it shows we had to spread out and kind of adapt with the things as they came to us. Next slide, please. This is an image from some of our choir rehearsals. Like I said, we had to spread out, we had to wear masks, and so that made it particularly difficult throughout the year to do the things that we needed to do as a choir class and grow as a musical community there. Next slide. This was some virtual music.
I was virtual all last year, so doing virtual music was very challenging. Being on Google Meets, and there was a lot of disconnection problems and not being able to hear people because you're playing at the same time. So doing virtual was very hard, but I stuck through it, and I'm so glad that we were able to be in person this year and enjoy our music classes as I did last year, but a lot better this year. So virtual was very hard to do, but we had to stick through it, and very glad we did.
So although we were able to focus on music concepts, creating music, responding, and connecting over those last 1.5 years, those COVID years where it was really in the peak, we're very glad to add back to the music standard of performing to our classes. So this is homecoming. Pep Band did a really great job. And there's plenty of things that we did. We sing the Star Spangled Banner at athletic events. I know I've done a few. I know Sydney's done a few. We like to get ensembles together so we can get some nice harmonies, because that song is really beautiful when you get multiple voices together for that. There was the orchestra concerts, the band concerts, jazz, chamber strings, choir concerts, show choirs. We had the pleasure of having an a cappella group from Madison coming over and singing some of their songs for us, just a demonstration of what music can be like after high school, which can be really valuable for some students who might be interested in that. This was the Future Freshman Night, and so myself and Chloe Thompson were there to represent TriM Music Honor Society to help promote that musical aspect of high school to freshmen coming in, because it's a really great way to bond with your community and meet new people, which is always a great thing, an opportunity for freshmen to have. We like to do some opportunities with the middle schoolers, try and get them involved a little bit younger so they already know some people coming into high school. And this was some of the things that some of our TriM members decided to go down to the middle school and do. They decided to have some karaoke, and they had a decent turnout, and I think there was only great reviews from that event. We like to go and have musical lunch performances, both at the elementary school, middle school, and high school. During March, it was Music in Our Schools Month, so we tried to promote that as much as we could. So the top right image there is performing at our high school, and that's an image from the middle school. And I know that we also had some people go and perform at the elementary school, and the reviews and feedback was amazing. We like to perform at the Pyramid, given the opportunity. It's a great venue. It's got a really cool aesthetic to the place, and so it's kind of a nice demonstration of what it can be like to sing on a real stage in front of people just out having a drink or having some nice food on the town. The strings performed, choir students performed, and a lot of this was in preparation for solo and ensemble, which a lot of us did really, really great at, and are looking forward to performing at State on April 30th. We did the tree lighting ceremony. We did some caroling. It's a tradition that we have always enjoyed doing in the past. I don't think we were able to do it the year prior because of COVID, but this year was really nice to come back to that. The winter market was another thing we did. Pop strings and some caroling was happening at the event. It was another very pleasant time. The Lake Mills Middle School honor choir students are also some bright musical students that we have, and they performed at the music honors level, very difficult pieces, and they did great. These are the high school honor choir students. And the solo ensemble festival went great for all of our middle school students. They had some ensembles as well as individual pieces. And then the high schoolers also did very well. We had many people go to State for all sorts of events, ensembles. Our show choir went to State. I know duets, soloists in both art and musical pieces, so a great turnout. It was really nice hosting. Didn't have to drive as far in the morning. So that was a really pleasant experience for a lot of us. As well as choir, there were plenty of band and orchestra pieces. Mrs. Schmidt led a group of chamber strings, and they performed very well. They also made it to State. There were also plenty of soloists and duets and ensembles. And these are all the solo ensemble participants, and as you can see, 24 people are advancing to State. Or actually, I don't think that's people, I think that's events, yeah. The Civil Rights Museum was the beginning of our music trip. It was a great experience just to kind of see all the things there. This was at Lorraine Motel, which is where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And following that, later in the day, we went to Graceland, the home of Elvis. That was another very cool experience. And at Graceland, we had the opportunity to perform. All three of our musical groups, the choir got to perform, the set list that we performed at our last concert. The orchestra also got to perform. And as well as the band. The band got to perform. It was a little bit windy, so their music kind of flew all over the place at some times, but they did a great job with that. And then, like I said before, the orchestra also got to perform. And so, despite being pretty windy in an open space, the sound carried really well. We pulled a big crowd in, and a lot of people enjoyed listening to us there. We went to Beale Street, as well as the Rock and Soul Museum in Memphis, and that was another very cool experience. So there's a big photo of all of us gathered together enjoying the trip. We went to a songwriting workshop. As music students, a lot of us already choose to write songs on our own time, but for those who don't, this was a really great opportunity to kind of learn how to, and it was really fun. Wild Horse Saloon, this was probably my personal favorite part of the trip, but we got to go there, we had some great food, and then we all got involved in line dancing. Originally, there weren't too many people out there, but some of us went out and started it, and eventually there was a sizable amount of people down there line dancing. They had a few instructors up there kind of guiding us on how to do it, and it was a great experience for everybody. Flowers there were beautiful. Some warmer weather as opposed to this cold Wisconsin weather. Not today, though. It's really nice out. We went to the Ryman Theater, which was the original home of the Grand Ole Opry, but as it became more popular, they had to relocate it. But this was the original home. We got a little tour here, and that was another great experience for us. And we got to see a performance at the Grand Ole Opry, so that was very cool. I think there was something like 8 performers. A few of them are part of the Grand Ole Opry, and so that was another very, very cool experience. We went to the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in Tennessee, and yet another very cool experience. Get to see some of our favorite celebrities. And these are the chaperones that went with us. We are very appreciative that they came along because they're the ones who made this trip possible for us, along with our great choir directors, band directors, and orchestra director. And that's just a big group photo of everybody, kind of near the end of our trip, and our amazing directors. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Pat.
Well, thank you very much for sharing with us. We have always known the importance of the music program to our school, and I think we've seen another example of just how important that is. So thank you very much.
Okay, Amanda's going to help me with a strategic plan update. Actually, real quick, while you're getting up there, a quick mention on the school board election update. I'm sorry I skipped over that one, so I wanted to just say congratulations to Kirk Lund and Andrew Graham, and I see Andrew in our audience here today for their election to the school board. They will take the oath of office before attending the April 25th reorganization meeting, and so we look forward to working with you in the future. And now, a strategic plan update. I look at this year, as we've kind of said over and over again, kind of like building the plane while we're flying it. But I still am glad we did it that way, just because there's been a lot of pieces that have fallen nicely into place that I don't think we could have accounted for at the beginning of the school year. So I'm going to let Amanda start with the first pillar of our strategic plan.
All right, so I just want to kind of review the things that we've been doing so far this school year, a lot of which you already know, but just we have 100-day iterations that we come back together to look at our planning, make changes, make updates as we go.
So you can just let Dave know to extend the slide.
Yeah, you can go to the next one. I thought it was Megan. I'm like, Megan.
Oh, all right.
All right, so these are the 4 different pillars. I'm going to first focus on fostering student engagement and learning. We have two different goals within this pillar. One is to implement ongoing professional development in order to enhance student engagement, relationships, and achievement. So a big part of that falls within my job description of helping all of our teachers to be able to participate in that professional development. And then the second goal is to develop a systematic structure to address opportunity gaps while promoting inclusivity and equity. And when you look at that goal, it feels giant, but we're trying to break it down into some bite-sized pieces as we go. So one of the things that we're looking at is with opportunity gaps is our meeting structures. So as teachers gather together to talk about curriculum, to talk about data, and the opportunities our students have, that's where this goal is really taking shape this year. So the things that we've done is to implement monthly department meetings for K through 12. So 4K through 5th grade are all meeting together. So we're kind of bridging the elementary and the middle school together this year. So they're talking about reading and math, social and emotional learning, and technology across those grade levels. 6th grade through 12th grade are in their department meetings, and we're talking about disciplinary literacy in each of those team meetings. So the math team is talking about how do we help kids to be able to read a math problem and really internalize what is this problem asking me, and then how do I do the math to be able to solve it. Our science department, how do we write lab reports, how do we teach new vocabulary. So all of those really rich conversations are happening within the department meetings, which have just evolved to some great conversations, but also professional development for our teams. Weekly grade level team meetings are also happening across 4K through 8th grade, so talking about curriculum, making sure the same types of curriculum and teaching are happening in each of our classrooms. And then at the high school, we've implemented another department meeting so that they can talk about things specific to just the high school curriculum. So more vertical alignment is happening this year than ever before. 612 professional development, as I said, focus on disciplinary literacy. Katie McKnight has been with us. She's a professor and a consultant to help us think about disciplinary literacy. How do we teach vocabulary to students? How do we help with reading strategies across every content area? And then the next step of that we're going to be bridging into next school year is writing strategies. So when you're writing lab reports, how do we help our scientists in all 6th through 12th grades to be able to write in every content area? Rapid cycle feedback is another level to our evaluation system. So our principals are working with teachers to look at a very specific goal that they have in their classrooms. The principals go into the classroom, they observe this, and then give feedback in a pretty quick sequence of time. So it could be across the school year, or it could be condensed into 6 to 8 week cycles for the teachers to be getting that feedback that they need to be changing and switching up their instruction based on the feedback that they're getting. And then math professional development has been a huge focus for us this year, 4K through 12th grade. Stephen Mialovich from CISA 2 has been working with us this summer, and then across the school year, he was able to come in and observe every math teacher in the district, so 4K all the way through 12th grade, and then provide feedback to our teachers. And great things are happening in our math classrooms, and we're going to continue to raise the level of all of the work that we're doing with our mathematicians in the school district. So next steps, our pupil service team meetings are the meetings that are focused on specific students. So if we know that a student needs a little bit more or needs an extra challenge, we come together as a pupil service team to be able to craft individualized plans for students. So this is a process that we're continuing to refine and make a bit more structured across all 3 buildings. So that's still in process. We're not there yet, but some good things have been happening this year. An intervention framework for kindergarten through 8th grade. This is our first year for a reading interventionist at the middle level, and so connecting the dots, kindergarten through 8th grade, to make sure that those interventions are seamless across the buildings, but then also what's the criteria, what are the interventions, and making sure we have that process in place. Enhanced communication of district goals, making sure with board reports such as this, but then also to our staff members, do they know the goals? Do they know all of the things that are going into the work that we're doing? Next year, looking at more teacher leadership within this process, so taking a team of teachers with us this summer to the school improvement process so that they can become the leaders within their departments and their grade level teams to carry the work forward. And then in math, our next step is to have, it's called AVMR, or Math Recovery Training, for all of our K through 8th grade teachers. That will be happening in August, and then across the school year to continue that work. So it's a high level of professional development that they'll be receiving, and I think they're pretty excited to get started with that, to have one more tool in their toolbox to help students.
I just want to say, like, again, thank you to the school board for creating Amanda's position last year. I mean, you can see within 3/4 of a year what she is working on and the benefit that that has to the district as far as pulling together all 3 schools and really having those seamless transitions and a laser-like focus on student achievements. I mean, it's just such a notice, so thank you, Amanda. Our second goal was enhance diversity and collaboration through intentional engagement strategies, resulting in a strong culture of belonging. So a lot of, some of this work has been going on behind the scenes. For example, the whole onboarding process for our new staff. We've really worked up at the district office with all of the ladies up there to incorporate an electronic onboarding process so that it helps with our look of professionalism as we bring new teachers on board. Along with that, Amanda has been working on the peer mentoring project. So last year we applied for and received the peer mentoring grant. And so that has really, it's been some really involved training with our current mentors, but then also enhancing what our new teachers are getting as far as a partnership with our veteran teachers. So that is some nice wraparound support for our teachers, since we looked at the research as far as teachers leaving the profession, you know, before 3 years or switching jobs. So really that goal of retaining our teachers and providing the support they need has been really beneficial. We just started with our partnership with Steeping Wellness in January. It's been kind of a slow rollout. We did that intentionally because we already had our PD plan for the year. We plan on kicking that off more fully next year, and the benefit to that is when we switched over to USI for our benefits, USI already has a partnership with Steeping Wellness, so we're seeing how that's all going to roll together as we work towards enhanced staff benefits. And then on a bonus part, we are almost done hiring for the 2022-23 school year in an atmosphere where it is extremely hard to hire for educators. I think we have been very fortunate in this district to not only fill positions, but fill hard to fill positions. For example, school psychologists, a tech ed teacher, and we're currently working on a school counselor and special ed teacher. We've been very fortunate this year. The next steps with this are to create the key performance indicators. So we have the plan in place. Now, how do we keep incrementally getting better and better? The next goal, foster meaningful dialogue, connections, and partnerships with families and community stakeholders to nurture a culture that values diversity, mental health, varied career pathways, and inclusivity. That is a big one. A lot rolled into that. So really, for the updates, I just mentioned a few things because we're still really developing this part of the plan. So we did hire our 2 new school psychologists for the following school year, and at that point, we were really working on a plan for mental health in the district. Behind the scenes, Amanda has been working with me on the youth apprenticeship offerings. Amanda's been working on the website, and we're really starting to work with the high school counselors on the career pathways and what those desired outcomes look like for our graduates at Lake Mills High School. Luckily, with hiring a new tech ed teacher, I'm pretty confident that we'll be really launching onto that plan next year with all the pieces in place. So the next steps is to examine the profile of a graduate, develop a plan to value diversity and inclusivity, and develop key performance indicators, once again, to measure our progress on that. And finally, our goal, the last one, to create sustainable and a proactive operational plan that fosters growth and allows for flexibility as needs evolve. The majority of our work on this right now is focused on our referendum work to address the facility needs. So in our facility committee, we did really take a deep dive on our current long-range facilities plan, and that process will continue as far as visioning where do we want to be with facilities, how do we map out those next 10 years of the facilities plan. We have 3 community engagement sessions planned regarding the referendum, and there'll be a mailer that will be going out this week, and so it'll start our communication plan as far as the referendum and starting to address some of the questions that were raised in the survey that we administered last fall. And then finally, our work will continue to address the budget shortfall issues that we have due to a lack of funding at the state level for not only this year, but for next year as well. So look for some great things to come in the fall next year as far as those key performance indicators.
Any questions for Dr. Olson? Hey, Ms. Naylor, you can talk about our upcoming budget.
Yes. So that's kind of a good segue as Dr. Olson just finished up there. This time of year in the business office, at any point in the year, I could be working in one of 3 budget years. This time of year, I'm working primarily in 2. So wrapping up our current budget and then also looking, as you know, at what's coming in the next year and beyond. But for tonight's sake, I want to give you an update on where I anticipate things falling for the end of the 21-22 school year. So basically, I took a look at where our budget to actual numbers are at this point, as this last month had wrapped up, and then kind of anticipated all of the revenues and expenditures that should be happening for the rest of the year. And with that said, I'm expecting us to be ending the year in a deficit of about $300,000. Now, there are going to be some things that are going to impact that, and I'll go through that, but I also wanted to remind you that about $250,000 of that was approved for the greenhouse to be coming out of fund balance. So that is figured into that figure. Some other things that are definitely going to change between now and the end of the year are going to be the transfer to Fund 27. So I used my original figure for that transfer of about $2.1 million to Fund 27, which is a special education fund. And I didn't dig deep into that, but I do anticipate that changing a little bit because of some staffing that changed throughout the year. So I anticipate that number going down a little bit, but I don't have an exact figure. So I used that same number that I used originally. Let's see. Actuals for various utilities. So I did use, I kind of buffered a little bit and tried to think of inflation as I put in some numbers for fuel costs, energy costs, things like that. We don't have any major things coming down the pipeline for transportation maintenance on our buses or any of our vehicles. So I put in pretty basic expenditures for that. Obviously, things can happen, but we're not anticipating that, and we've taken a really good care of our fleet, so we should be good there. One of the other variables are going to be our JEDI and our CAP program. So I know we kind of recently talked about the CAP program and how quickly those numbers can fluctuate depending on how many students are in the program at that time. Even since me writing this up, we had somebody add, so I know there'll be a little change there too. So certainly not a exact number, but kind of an estimate. Payroll actuals are going to fluctuate from what I anticipated here. And then, of course, I threw in some potential any other unexpected expenditures. But I'll also be working through some of the grants and tying those out, so there'll be some revenues coming in, and those things will change this number a little bit as we go forward. So my plan is next month to do a very similar analysis with where we're at with one more month of data to bring some even more drilled down numbers. So that number will change, hopefully for the better, but that is my plan as we get a little bit closer to this next year. And then, as I said earlier, simultaneously, I'm working on the 22-23 budget. And we've kind of talked about the fact that this is going to be one of the more difficult budgets that we've seen in a while due to 2 years of no new money and the rate of inflation being as significant as it is. But I'll be working to come up with some creative ways to balance it as much as we can. And then just to let you know that you can expect that preliminary budget to be brought to the June board meeting, the 22-23 preliminary budget, but we'll have obviously a meeting in between there, but that's when that'll be brought. So any questions for me? Okay. Thank you.
All right, the next item is the consent agenda. And this month's consent agenda includes the approval of the March 21st regular board meeting minutes, the March 28th Finance Committee proceedings, the April 4th Facilities Committee proceedings, March's Treasurer's Report, vouchers and invoices, the FFA land agreement, the CISA 2 contract, and the personnel report. Is there any item that a board member wishes to discuss separately? Hearing none, I would then entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll move the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments on the motion?
Just a big thank you to Roger and Beth Wiedenfeld for the FFA, the donation of the land for the FFA. So just wanted to pull that out for sure.
Okay, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Brianna Beslick.
Aye.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Ken Imers.
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye.
Robert Timperio.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Action items is the approval of gifts, and again, we find our community most generous. So I'd entertain a motion to accept those gifts.
I move the board accept a $1,000 donation from Miss Carmen Alexander of Wanakee to the Lake Mills High School FFA and Roger and Beth Wiedenfeld for their use of the 5-acre plot of land for the FFA. We thank them for their continued support of the students and programs of the Lake Mills Area School District.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Ken Imers.
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye.
Brianna Beslick.
Aye.
Robert Timperio.
Aye, motion carries. The next item are future agenda items.
All right, so Monday, April 25th will be the board reorganization meeting at 5:30. They'll adjourn that meeting and go into a board workshop on facilities that will be hosted by our folks from EUA in Findorf. And then at our next regular board meeting, this will actually be Sydney, our student reps, last meeting. And then we'll also be honoring our staff for their years of service and I think we are having another little reception at that point, so we'll have a reception beforehand again. We'll also be recognizing the Lake Mills High School Top 10, and then we'll have a first reading of the policy updates. We do a policy committee meeting tomorrow, and then some of the action items will be to look at our 4K agreement with Lake Mills United Methodist Church. Amanda will come back and give an update with summer school staffing. We'll hold off on the dues and fees for the following school year to a little bit of a later date. We're working with the lunch program and some other things. And then we will also have the professional staff contracts that will already be going out as of May 15th. So kind of wrapping up the school year at that point.
Okay, I should note, I did not mention that we had no persons who signed up for public
Yeah,
comment.
breeze
So
straight
I
through
kind of
that.
skipped over that, I apologize. So, before we leave, Don, is there any final comments that you'd like to make?
I would just like to thank everyone for this opportunity. It's been quite a crazy and amazing ride. 9 years have gone very fast. It's amazing how quickly it went, but I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I want to let this opportunity go by either. And I want to thank you for all your kind words, Tanya, and I want to thank our staff and our teachers and our administration for all your hard work for the benefit of the students in our community. And you know, they often say that this job is thankless, and I guess that I would differ with that. And I think we saw that this evening with the music students, and we saw that with the fourth grade care group. And we saw that with the FFA students when they were here, and we see the growth and we see the confidence in these young people. And then I think about the high school students that participated in the strategic plan that we talked about. And they just didn't sit there. They were very active, and and many of the things that are in that plan, they influenced. So I think that I think there's a lot of good stuff going on, and I am confident that we have a foundation here that we can continue to build and grow. And so I'm very happy, and I'm very sad at the same time. So good luck to all of us, and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.